some girl on the beach has been raped, was the first thing he said. There's basically some guys raped and bashing some girls on the beach, and just panic, like just an extreme level of help.
How terrified would you be if a series of events you just watched in a horror movie is now happening to you? This barely happens, and these two backpackers from Brazil and Germany who found themselves at a remote Australian beach with a monstrous man were not ready. Or were they? A month before the trip, Lena watched Wolf Creek, a movie about a serial killer in Australia who picked up hitchhikers and did gruesome acts with their bodies. This movie was partly based on the details of the backpacker murders committed by Ivan Milat in the 1990s. After watching the movie, Lena basically told her friends that the movie was purely fiction.
I watched it with a friend together, and I remember that I was telling him after the movie was finished that I said to him, "This is horrible, but it's not real. This will never ever happen to anyone. Like, not like this." And then, yeah.
A month later, she and Beatrice were fighting for their lives in the same exact situation. This is the case of the Salt Creek attacks. Australia, one of the places adventurous backpackers dream about. It has great adventurous sights, plenty of sun, and it is known to be one of the safest places for travelers. Lena from Brazil also thought Australia was safe and had dreams of embarking on her first adventure there. In February 2016, Lena, who was 23 at the time, met Beatriz, a Brazilian backpacker who was the same age as her. Lena had taken a gap year from school, and Beatrice was completing her course in nursing and just found love in Australia. The two hit it off immediately after they met at the Adelaide hostel and shared plans to make their way to Melbourne together, which was 700 kilometers south. They were both keen to see as much of Australia as they could. They heard about the Great Ocean Road, a trip that would be an 8-hour drive with famous landmarks like the 12 Apostles on the way, manageable in just a day. What most backpackers do is go on Gumtree and check if they could get a ride to their destination. Gumtree is a website where people connect around a life stage or a need or basically advertise. So that is what these two ladies did. They got two offers and decided to go with a guy who was in the same age range as them. But the guy had a problem with his car the night before, so they had to go with the second offer.
I got two main responses. First, a guy that it was the one that I wanted to go, but the night before he had a problem with his car, so I had to cancel with him. And that's when I called to my second option, which was Roman. I just thought he was a bit impatient. That's the feeling that I had, because he was send me a message like, just be nice with me, just send me a message, just answer if you want to go or not. But I didn't have so many options.
On 9 February 2016, Beatrice and Lena met up with 59-year-old Roman Heinze. Roman was already at the designated meeting spot waiting for them. The girls found it a bit weird and realized that he looked slightly different from what they saw on Gumtree.
Because he looked like older than what I was expecting.
I was thinking the same. I'm not sure if I would have gone with him all alone.
Yeah, me too.
Roman moved to Australia from West Germany with his parents and two older brothers in 1959. He has been married twice and has 5 children. Roman has an escalating interest in internet sites showing violent rape and other kinds of sexual assault against women. A month before picking up the girls, he performed these acts on his ex-girlfriend, and the ex was too ashamed to go to the police, but she ended the relationship immediately.
I must have went into a deep sleep. And then I woke up. This hand was already tied up. My left hand was already tied up. And I just said, "What the hell are you doing?" And then he just swore at me and told me to shut up. And then he started biting me and just yanking at me, my legs, trying to get my legs apart. Then when he'd finished, he just rolled over, left me tied up, just rolled over, turned his back, and I was left laying there.
But the ladies do not know this yet. The ride started as a simple road trip with Beatrice happily and innocently taking pictures. But then, 2 hours into the drive, Roman pulled into Salt Creek. He knew this place well, and it was a secluded beach area away from anyone in the middle of nowhere. He took them to the Sea Tree Crossing campground to set up camp. The girls were pretty tired, so they set up camp and Lena went back into the car to sleep, leaving Beatrice and Roman by the tent. Soon after that, Roman convinced Beatrice to move away from the tent with him to search for kangaroos. At this point, Roman was trying to divide and conquer. Beatrice trustingly followed him into the sand dunes, oblivious of the hammer, rope, and the knife Roman was carrying. After not finding any kangaroos, Beatrice wanted to return to the campsite. But it was too late. Roman grabbed her and put her down in the sand. He put the knife he had into the sand and brought out the rope Beatrice did not know he had to tie her up. As soon as Beatrice realized what was about to happen, she took the rope and threw it away. Heinze responded by punching her and telling her to either comply or get her arm broken. He bound her and then used his knife to cut the bikini she was wearing off her body. He tried to touch her inappropriately as Beatrice was trying to wiggle out of his reach. He was punching and slapping her continuously. Beatrice somehow convinced Roman Heinze to take her back to the camp, telling him if he wanted to do things with her, it didn't have to be like this. Beatrice desperately wanted to get to the campsite and ask her friend for help.
I had to convince him that I was on his side, so I said you don't need to do this. If you want to do something, just ask me. We can go to the tent, we can relax there. You don't need to do this.
Heinze agreed, allowing Beatrice to walk back towards their campsite, bound and naked. They were getting close to the camp when Roman changed his mind and turned back. Beatrice realized she only has one chance to save her own life, so she made sure she gave the loudest scream she could possibly manage.
But for some reason, when we were getting close to the camp, it felt that he changed his mind and he went towards the other direction. And at this moment, I thought, that's my final chance. Because if you go far away, I don't know what's going to happen. And that's when I screamed for Lena. I had just one chance. Lena! And that's it. And then he started punching me and he threw me on the sand.
Lena heard the scream and woke up, but she couldn't figure out exactly where the scream came from. She then saw Roman standing over the naked body of Beatrice. She couldn't believe her eyes. She ran towards them shouting, "Leave her alone, get away from her." Heinze turned around and said, "I just wanted to try her." This is when Beatrice noticed a handle tucked into his belt. She thought it might have been either an axe or a hammer. She shouted at Lena to run. Lena raced to the car, grabbed her bag, and before she could do anything else, Roman struck the back of her head with a hammer. She fell to the ground but managed to get up and run. Heinze caught up with her and struck her 3 more times, but Lena escapes. Roman gave up and hopped in his car instead. While he was starting the engine, Lena managed to get to Beatrice and untie her. In that moment, the women came to the decision that the only way either of them would survive is if they split up. They went in the opposite direction. Beatrice went left into the sand dunes and hid her nakedness in the bushes. Lena went right and was in plain sight. Roman turned around and started chasing her. Lena was terrified at this point and knew she had to run as fast as she could. Roman eventually reaches her with his car and hits her with the bull bar. Heinze did this 4 times and each time it sent her flying. Lena reached her breaking point by the 4th hit but decided this is not how and where she dies. She faced the car, ran towards it, and jumped on the bonnet. With Lena on the bonnet, Roman drove around violently trying to shake her off. This wasn't working, and he decided to stop and shout at his victim to get down. Lena demanded he throw away his weapon, give her something to steam her head wound, and drive her back to the road. Meanwhile, Beatrice was still hiding in the bushes down in the sand dunes when she noticed 3 cars coming down the beach near where she was hiding. Still naked, she ran out in front of the cars and flagged one down. The young family inside quickly came to her aid and gave her clothes to wear. Beatrice had no idea where Lena was, and she begged for them to help her find her friend. They couldn't find Lena after hours of searching, so they decided to get Beatrice to the hospital. As they were leaving the beach, another group of campers arrived and they quickly updated them about Lena. The police were alerted and they started the 2-hour drive to Salt Creek. In the meantime, the owner of the local roadhouse rounded up some locals and started searching for Lena, who by this point was sitting in Heinze's car, injured and fading away. The search party located Roman's car, but he tries to drive away. They chased him and cornered him in the sand dunes.
And it's a chilling phone call. The kids on the phone just start going mental. That's like, we can see him, Adam, we can see the car, we can see him. And sound on that voice coming through that phone, those kids were scared, rightly so. And I'm like, where's the girl? Can you see the girl? No, we can only see him.
Lena got out of the car soaked in blood. The rescuers couldn't even determine if it was a male or a female. Some of the search parties managed to apprehend Heinze that day, and he was arrested by the police, who shortly arrived at the scene. On the day of his conviction, the judge ruled that he was an inhumane, privative, sex-obsessed predator. Heinze was convicted of multiple counts of assault, attempted rape, sexual assault, and violence. He was jailed for at least 22 years. It's been 5 years and not much is known about Lena and Beatrice, apart from their 60-minute interview in 2017. Lena chose to remain in Australia and continue traveling. Beatrice went back to Brazil, but struggled in crowds and public places after her ordeal. As far as we know, she stuck with her Australian boyfriend. This is such an incredible story. What do you think helped the girls? Bravery or adrenaline rush? I am eager to see your thoughts in the comments. We have more videos like this for you. I hope you stick around by hitting the subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. I'll be waiting for you in our other videos. And as always, please take care of yourselves and each other. Goodbye.